gorgeous.
How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
I'm so excited to talk to you today. So how's your Friday going?
It has been a busy Friday, but it's good. Like, I have absolutely no complaints. I'm so happy. I have no complaints whatsoever.
Yes. Cari, let me ask you before we dive in, what self-care practices have you adopted during quarantine?
Well, I try to keep people I love around me.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Right.
And I would say, honestly, if I said self-care practice, I keep a routine, because to me, if I didn't have a routine, I wouldn't, or like things to do me, how I move, function, it would drive me insane. So if I don't, whether it's not like, if I don't learn how to, if I don't wake up in the morning and work out or do my prayer or do a devotional, or if I don't, I've been cooking too. All the things that just make me feel like I am staying sane and safe and still feeling as if I'm as normal as possible. Just to me, because that's the really thing what this is about. Everyone feels as if they're not normal. Everything feels uncomfortable. So anything that gives you any type of normalcy, I suggest. So for me, and then maintenance. I always like a little maintenance. And by maintenance, I mean, I paint my nails, paint my toes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love that.
Work
I love
my
that.
brows.
I know. And your makeup is gorgeous.
I did it myself. I'm a pro.
Girl, you did that. It's bomb. Super, super cute. The Titan Games is returning on Monday.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Talk to us a little bit, Cari, about your role in the show and what we can expect from this season.
You know what? I was on last year, right? So last year I was more of a sideline reporter, kind of just interviewing the people after it was all said and done. This year we were able to create what I think is a really great trio. Obviously, DJ The Rock is the host of the show. Yeah. But I work with him and a guy by the name of Alex Golden Boy Mendez, who's amazing. And Golden Boy has this great voice. It's booming. So he's on the call. I'm on the call with him as well in terms of as the action is happening. But it's not so much play-by-play. It's really for us to give the audience an experience inside of the arena, what we call the Titan Arena, because everybody isn't inside of the arena. So it's this opportunity for everybody to be inside of this arena. We have such good humanitarian stories. We filmed this. This is how good God is. We filmed this end of January, a couple of weeks into February. And by then, unbeknownst to many of us, Corona had been here in the States, full blown. People were sick and didn't even realize what it was, thought it was flu season. And we wrapped, and I was able to do a couple of things, like go, run some errands, go home, do some stuff, like, fly back to California, do things. And then all of a sudden the world shut down. And we were so happy that we were able to finish this entire production, because it's really, truly what we need right now. People need sports. People need entertainment. People need to feel like things aren't as, routine. And I don't know about you, but our content, everybody is looking for content. That's why everyone's doing IG live versus, and I've watched Netflix through and through. People need content right now. So this is going to be like, it's one of these shows that everyone is going to love. Like, it's so amazing. So I commentate, I tease, I'm a little sarcastic. I give Rock a hard time. I give Alex a hard time. And then at the end of the day, we root for everybody. It's so much fun. It's really a good opportunity.
What is this show's message? Is it a message of empowerment, a message of encouragement? What is the show's message?
It's interesting because DJ says the other day, he goes, it's blood, sweat, and respect. The first two you give, the last one you earn. Like, you come into that arena and you give it your all. Your blood, your sweat. But then at the end of the day, we respect you because you think, wow, look at this mom who is a doctor and a mother of 3 beautiful girls, and during her spare time, whenever that is, she likes to give back to the community. She likes to work out. She likes to be a good wife and cook and good mother and the whole thing. But she comes in this arena and she's competing as if she is a 2-time Olympian. So you watch people like that and it inspires you, and it also makes you just want to root for them, because when you hear their backstories, you're like, oh, okay, I had an aunt like that, or I had a cousin like that, or I had a friend like that. I also believe that, you get to see some of your favorites. If you're into sports, like, you get to see Victor Cruz. He's like a very popular personality from the Giants, right? NBA, NFL champion. He is on the show as a Titan. Joe Thomas, he played for the Cleveland Browns. We call him Iron Man. He's on the show. It's so great. And then we got Clarissa Shields. She's this boxer, this young sister, but she's tough. Like, and she's an Olympian, and she's amazing. So you get to root for some of everybody. I think, and even if you're not a sports fan, you're like, I do miss the idea of any kind of competition on TV, because there's just nothing on anymore.
Right.
But this is great in itself, but this is serving every purpose at the same time.
Definitely. Speaking of sports, you left ESPN and you made the announcement earlier this year. Talk to us, Cari, a little bit about why and when you made that decision to leave.
Well, you know, I made that decision. You know how you make a decision? You ever break up with somebody and you've been breaking up with them for like 2 years and then you finally break up? Like I had knew in my mind that it was time for me to make a pivot. I think a lot of women, especially women, have a hard time realizing when they can pivot, whether that's go to a different career or try a different career path or have children. The list goes on. There's all these decisions that we make that we find difficult. And at the end of the day, I read a quote the other day that explained exactly how I felt, that in my journey, my purpose, when I realized what my purpose was, because it takes a while for us to realize that, should not be attached to a place or a person or a thing, so I never lose the message, right? And my purpose is for little brown girls to see me and realize that all dreams are possible and they can live big lives, loud and proud, and not have to apologize for what they love. And so I wasn't able to do all the different things I wanted to do anymore. I had been at ESPN for 8 years and I loved it and it was great and it gave me a major platform. But then you say, well, now that I have this platform and I have this following and I have this purpose, a fully realized purpose, what do I do next? What do I do with it? How do I continue to push the envelope, change the game, inspire, find other opportunities, become a first in other areas, right? And that's what I wanted to do. Now, sports will always be my bread and butter. Like I will always, like I would never not leave sports. Like I have a lot of things coming. I have like a sports podcast coming out soon. I'm working on another show with a really good friend of mine. Like I will never not. But what I had to do was not be attached to anything anymore and make it like, this is it. That's what I've done. I've made it, because there's always so much more. And it's scary, but it's so empowering and it's freeing. Like I'm so light and free.
And speaking of light and free in this experience, speak to us, or what piece of advice can you give women out there that are watching this, or even men if they're watching this, that want to pivot, they want to change, whether it's in life or a career, they want to make a change, but they're afraid to. What piece of advice would you give them?
Ashley, good for you. That's a great question. And I've watched some of your interviews. You listen very well. And that is the key to being a great connector of people. So good for you for even I just want to just give you those props. I've been watching you and I think you're great. I really do. So
I admire you. So thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. I think what advice, I wish I get this all the time. I think you already know in your spirit whether it's time to jump or look over the edge. Like you can look over the edge. I was looking over the edge for years and I was like, I'm just have to jump, but I just don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know when that's going to happen. But I can't wait for the opportunity to find me. Because a lot of times we even want the opportunity when we're like at a place like ESPN, we're like, okay, NBC, ABC, come find me and put me here and make me. And that's never been the case. I've never had anybody discover me. I've always had to hustle for every job. I've always shown my resume. No matter what, when I was at ESPN, I flew myself in. Like they didn't come find me, I found them. And I sat outside in the lobby and I waited for them to say, well, you're gonna get an opportunity. And then when I did get the opportunity, it was still like, okay, well, you should just be happy with that. I had to knock on doors to say, can I host SportsCenter? And then when I finally got an opportunity to host SportsCenter, it was like, okay, let's slow step you into it. Fine, that's great. But unleash, take the handcuffs off. Allow me to be the artist that I am. And then same thing now. Like I wanted to like, look at Ryan Seacrest. I look at him and not that that's somebody I admire, but when do you see a Black woman doing what he's doing? Or a Black person doing what he's doing, being on several monumental television shows at once, producing content, having EP credits, executive producer credits, owning all of the content that he is a part of. And Oprah was the first to have ownership, but that's where I'm at right now. I want to own it and I want to have several, streams of income from different places so that I don't ever have to rely on one place. And then I also want to show little girls that it's possible. You can do that. No matter how we go about it, it can be done. But, you have to be willing to knock on doors and be fearless. And fearless doesn't mean that you don't have any fear. Fearless means that you just believe in yourself enough to trust that God's going to work it out for you. So my only advice to anybody who wants to do something and they believe that's their destiny, that they have to be so committed to the end game that no matter what difficulties come, they will still be committed to what they want to do, because it's not easy. This is not for those who are, are weak minded, weak in spirit, weak in heart. Like, it's tough. It's a tough ask, because every single thing that I've ever done in my career, I've had to silence the critics. I've had to silence the critics when they said, oh, she's no good on First Take. I had to silence the critics when I left First Take to go to SportsCenter. It was like, why are you going over there? That's going to be an awful show. I had to silence the critics when I leave SportsCenter, who were like, well, what are you going to do now? I'll show you what I'm going to do now. So sit back and watch. I don't know what opportunities any other brown girls are having to sit and work with DJ. Like, he's the biggest superstar in the world. And whether I can host with him for a season, that's a lifetime accomplishment in itself. Like, I got the biggest, I'm learning up close from the biggest superstar in the world how it should be done. You know what I mean? I'm getting tricks of the trade from him, and I wouldn't change that for anything. I wouldn't change this experience for anything, although I digress.
I love it, Cari.
I digress, but you know what I mean? Say it again, honey.
I said that's inspiring. Just that piece of advice stuck with me too. So I'm gonna take that advice and pocket it here. Yes.
Yeah, I know you, like, whatever you're doing it right now on your platform, right?
Yeah.
Like, now it's easier than ever to create your own. Like, if you got a voice and a telephone, you can have a TV show. Like, it's easier than ever. And they may not bring it to you, but you bring it to them. And then get so good that they can't deny you.
I love it. Thank you, Cari, for that. I hope people took notes. I did. I took mental notes of that. The Last Dance. I know that you were watching it. I follow you on Twitter. I saw you tweeting up a storm about it. Talk to us about that documentary. It just concluded last Sunday. What did you learn that you didn't know already watching that?
Oh, gosh. You know what? Here's a confession. Not much of a confession, but a confession. I never liked MJ. So I grew up in LA. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. Anybody who knows. I ride with purple and gold. And I didn't like Jordan during the time in which he was a star and on top of the game, because everyone, in my opinion, didn't pay attention to Magic. And I was like, why y'all dissing Magic for MJ? What about this MJ? And so when I watched that documentary, what I learned is that I respect him a lot more. What I learned is that being great isn't easy. I already knew that, but being great isn't easy. And if you aren't built from that, and if you don't understand that or cut from that cloth, he can be perceived as someone who was a jerk or not nice or calling out his teammates and a bully. And while he may be all of those things, he also was and still is, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. And in order to do that, you have to have a certain mentality that you can't turn off. And you might be able quietly to get in quiet rooms and understand it. But I rode with it. I got it. Like, when you require so much excellence of yourself, everyone around you will have to deal with that, whether they like it or not. And so I didn't have a problem with it. I think the biggest problem that I always find myself having, especially as a woman, we empathize more. We're much more sensitive. Our feelings get hurt more. But if you have that instinct that doesn't make you feel as if you are as women should be in a workplace, and I'm just speaking from my experience, you get tough, you get called names, people are afraid of you. But then I watch MJ and I'm like, no, see, look, here's the blueprint. And he's not right in a lot of ways. He was mean to Steve Kerr. He did stuff he shouldn't have did.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, everyone can look around who played with him and said, I got 6 rings. People could look around and say, I made today's players specifically can say my shoe deal is because of Jordan. I'm making money because of Jordan. You benefit from that. And yes, it might have been awful and difficult. Then don't play with me.
Right.
Don't play, like, you're gonna be here. So I know that people don't always agree with that because it's too cut and dry, but I like excellence. Like, you're not sitting here interviewing me and not doing your homework. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't just come here and just start. That's why I say good for you. Just, you do so many of these interviews, you can tell people aren't paying attention, they haven't done their homework. You like excellence. Jordan liked excellence. And I felt like excellence and being selfish is really underrated and they get a bad rap. There's nothing wrong with being selfish to the point where you know that you really want something and you're determined to get it by any means necessary. And that is the extreme level of competition. And I have no problem with that because it's a competition. And that's why you play the game. Why else do you play the game? Shout out to my man, Herm Edwards. But go on.
Wow. Mic drop. Cari, you have a birthday coming up June 1st.
Uh-huh.
What are you going to do for your birthday in this quarantine? What do you have planned?
I don't know. I was just talking to one of my closest friends. Her name is Fabiola. She also does makeup, a great job. I may or may not have had her do my eyebrows. But I was just saying, like, I'd like to go somewhere, but I don't even know if you can go anywhere, right? So
a road trip, maybe?
Yeah, maybe get in the car and drive somewhere. But you know what I was thinking, because I've been seeing this a lot? I could do a Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Jamel Hill's one of my close friends. I made Jamel, I said, Jamel, what you doing for my birthday? She's like, it's a secret. She ain't doing nothing. But maybe we'll meet at some parking lot with a little something, a little wine, a little rosé maybe. And
look, I can come and join y'all for a little rosé now.
Yeah, I'll be at rosé all day. Because you can have rosé at any time of day, quite honestly.
Anytime.
So maybe that, like, it'll be fun. Whatever it is, I just want to take a minute out from not feeling like how I feel. Because every morning, I don't know how you feel, and I don't know how the people who are watching this feel. But when I wake up, I'm all like, what day is it?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know what day it was the other day. I was like, wait, it's Wednesday, but girl, I think it was like Tuesday.
Yeah, all the days run together. It feels very gray. Like our outlook feels very gray. I feel like no one knows anything, and the people who are in charge of this country know nothing. So we have to go and find our own information, and then we have to apply common sense to it in this very uncommon world that we're in right now, right?
Hello.
So I don't know. And it's okay not to be okay, because I talk about that too.
Right.
I was like, this week was tough for me. I just had a tough week. And it wasn't anything in particular. I'm just like, when is this over? Like, what are we doing? And I know everyone is asking that question. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to my birthday. It'll be a different birthday. I'm not complaining, because I have not been in need, not once, during this entire quarantine. Thank you, Jesus. God. Family and friends are good. Yeah. So I'm not going to complain. But what I will say is that I'm looking forward to the show coming out, because that gives me a little bit, like, that's exciting, right? Like, I haven't been on TV in a minute, so it's good for me to see that, because it's good programming. And then I guess I'm looking forward to my birthday in the parking lot. Just pour a little out for the homies. I mean, what else can you do?
And birthdays are a blessing, right?
Yeah, you're right. It is.
So we will be watching you on Monday. Tell us what time Titan Games comes on Monday, Cari.
NBC, 8 p.m. Don't miss it. It's Memorial Day. You guys barbecue in the house, barbecue outside. Take your mask off, get comfortable, have somebody massage your feet, do whatever you have to do. Get you a glass of rosé. It's kid-friendly television. Get their Kool-Aid, get their sippy cup, whatever you need, because it's going to be so much fun. Like, you're going to love it. I guarantee. That's a guarantee. I don't guarantee stuff, but this is a guarantee. It's exciting. It's so exciting.
Well, I guarantee you, I enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, Ashley,
much for talking to me, and I'll shout you out on your birthday on June 1st. So.
Well, thank you, love. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. You're doing a great job, Queen, and I'm just so very proud of you.
I appreciate you so much, Cari. You have no idea. Love you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye, you guys. Make sure you watch. Bye.